funny that I think we talk to people, and in that case that sometimes people are saying, because we charge, because our fee is higher for a couple versus, you know, working with individual, obviously, because there's more work and more inputs and all that sort of stuff. But they say, well, should I, or maybe I should just do it because I'm the one that makes the decisions. But for mine, I think, like you guys say, that there's this huge benefit in that you go, well, actually, no, this is what we've got. So, you know, we can spend it all, we can save it all. Like, either of those things are probably not, well, one's not going to be very financially responsible. The second's not really going to make us any money, or probably we're somewhere in the middle. But for that dominant person, that they're pushing it down the line to the other person to say, well, you have to do this. Whereas when you go through the process, you go, well, no one has to do anything, but we have to decide what we're going to do. So so let's decide. Do you have any tips for anyone that would be in that sort of having that sort of thought in their mind?
No, mate. Well, we obviously weighed that up ourselves. I mean, Jen just stopped her job just before COVID to start her own business. So, you know, we had obviously the thought of, you know, do we just do me as the main revenue earner and then not do her? But to be honest, we were in it together. So it's exactly what you said there, mate. If you're cutting one half of the equation off, then, you know, you've got a massive blind spot. So it all needs to be taken into account. And I think because the way that Jen was starting her own business, there was things there that we wanted to plan into the future of, you know, even if this did or didn't work, or if it kind of goes all right and starts bringing some revenue in, then how does that impact the outcomes at the end? Where if we were to go just my salary or, you know, just my income, then we wouldn't have got that holistic picture. And I don't think it would have been as beneficial for us, even just to the degree of the, you know, the conversations and the confidence that we now have together around being aligned on what we're going to do is massively beneficial, mate.
Yeah, and I think especially if you've got someone that's more, like organized or more more likely to spend, that you're probably going to save more than that extra little bit of money that you pay over the next 12 months by being, you know, making those decisions and being in it together as a team. So yeah, I think it's hard to know before you've gone through that process, but certainly we have the benefit of having seen it a whole heap of times before, and the impact that it has. So yeah, it's great, I suppose, that you went down that path, and you can, you know, you'll now see that come together over the next little bit. And I know that you're already seeing it as per what we were talking about before.
I can imagine also, mate, it probably would drive some animosity. Not that obviously we've got no experience, we don't go the other way, but if someone was pushing down to the other person around, you're only spending this amount of money a week, I can imagine that would, you know, grate you.
Definitely. Yeah, I know for myself and my now wife, but when we started dating, like, because money's really fun to spend. It's heaps of fun to spend money. Like, you can buy all sorts of stuff with money. So we would, you know, we're going out, and you have a decent meal, and then go out and have a few drinks, or, you know, go do a bunch of stuff, and all of these things cost money. And I noticed for us that we were spending much more money than we wanted, but because I was sort of controlling everything, that I was like, well, it's like I'm saying, oh, we need to spend less, we should be saving more. And it was like there was no transparency with stuff. So what we did, and this happened probably about 8 years ago, that we went through exactly the same framework, planning process, got that same savings planner that you guys use, and we just mapped everything out and said, this is what we've got. You know, where do we want to be allocating our cash? And we went through and we put all the things in, and then everything was in the red. We were going backwards, like, massively. And I'm like, because that's what you do, right? Like, you go, I want this much for travel, I want this much for eating out, I want this much for all these other things. And you look at it and go, crap, like, now I need to reprioritize, because obviously one, you can't just keep going backwards. But two, you want to be saving some money. And the more you save, you know that the more quickly you get ahead. But we just sat there, and I definitely am more of the driver of the finances in our relationship, being a financial planner, definitely. But we just sat there and said, okay, well, what are we going to deprioritize? And then we decided together, and then we set up the framework, and then start tipping the money through the buckets. And that was the thing. And we immediately, I think we increased our savings at that time about 400%. And then it just made, what I found was that over the next, it's probably like a 3-year period, that it just got so much easier to spend less money on stuff, but choose the things that were like really high priority, like high enjoyment spending. For us, and especially living in Sydney, that we fell into the habit of just ordering in like all of the time. Like we just every night doing that stuff, and not that's obviously that's great, but and you know, tasty, but you end up spending all of this cash, and we've now pared it back, and we still order in like, you know, once or twice a week, but you actually enjoy it more because it's something that you do sometimes instead of just what you do every day. So I think it's that, you know, nobody's opinion is necessarily more important, although maybe I wouldn't say that's my wife, but you know, you do just need to sort of decide together, and then you've made your decision, so then you stick to your decision.